Yo, what's up, Bad Union fans, and welcome to the Union News number 10, post week 10. With you two analysts, myself, Schady,
and myself, Shroomraver. Yes, hello there, everyone. As Schady said, welcome to the Union News for the final sort of games of the regular season of the Battle Union. This week saw not sort of guaranteed matchups. What we saw was the matchups of the people who are first in either league, either division, gold and silver, taking on each other, second taking on second, third against third, and so on and so forth, which did make for some really interesting battles. People with very similar records taking on each other. And it has to be said, the battles weren't really as close as we perhaps thought they were going to be, given that sort of setup.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because most people didn't particularly care anymore. It was just, the ones at the bottom were just fucking around. And the ones at the top, they didn't really care anymore at this point, because they won the playoffs, so it wasn't too important.
Yeah, I think it wasn't so much they didn't care, but yeah, as you say...
yeah, they didn't put as much work into it, which means one big threat can come through way more easily.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of people had their sort of playoff or non-playoff positions guaranteed at this point. So yeah, it was kind of an experimental phase. People were trying out some things that maybe they hadn't looked into originally, which, as Shai said, did make some very interesting sets and threats on various teams. So I
also,
guess...
before we get into the games, one quick thing. No power rankings this week, and from now on, because there's no point.
Yeah.
We're just doing unions more in depth, and yeah, that's basically that. Just a quick update.
I mean, at this stage, there's sort of not too much of the season left to go. We've got 6 teams through at the moment, and there's only going to be a handful more games. So as Charlie said, no sense in doing the power rankings. Just a more in-depth Union news.
Yep. But with that, we're going to move on into the games that happened this week. So, the first one was between the first in the gold division, Enzo and the Swiskers, and Anima, first in the silver division, and the Golden State Dragons. This game ended with a 4-0 for Enzo, after losing the first game they had in the season. Really interesting game. Sharpedo happened. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Anima's team had nothing for Sharpedo. She didn't bring Alvamola, which was which would have been an amazing answer. Well, yeah, I guess Quillfish from the bench. And Tangle is not a reliable answer because Ice Beam. So then Sharpedo just kind of cleaned up late game, which was interesting to see. I like Sharpedo. It's a cool mon. Doesn't get enough attention in the format. So yeah, Enzo played a solid game. He didn't have to make any crazy predictions or anything, because Anima was taking this game very chill. She knew she had the playoff spot, and so did Enzo. So at this point, they were just kind of playing the game, having fun.
Yeah.
And that's completely fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Some nice sets on either side. We saw Anima going for straight up power with Thunder on Heliolisk.
Yeah.
But as we know, one does not simply take down a Suicune with stab super effective moves. And he was able to get the Mirror Coat kill, which is always nice to see. Really like seeing that. Sort of...
Suicune once again proving that it's the electric counter in the game.
Oh, true. Only this time it worked.
Inside jokes, yay. Yeah.
That is how you use a Suicune properly. We saw some interesting things on a... Yeah, shout out to Troy there. Interesting decisions from Anima. I thought it was a bit confusing when brought in Starmie on the Thunderous for it to die.
Yeah.
But I guess she was kind of didn't see the scarf coming. Didn't know that it was scarfed. I think she thought at one point it might be Assault Vest, but yeah, it was Scarf Thunderous, which was able to do a lot of work, sort of earlier on for Enzo. I liked his decision to bring sort of one Trick Room option, knowing that Anima wasn't able to call on Reuniclus. Allowed him to bring sort of Trick Room Cofagrigus and do nasty shenanigans. And I have to say, even though it wasn't used, really enjoyed the Victini again. Sort of pseudo-utility defense with dual status and taunt. Really nice idea. Cool. Very cool sort of set. I'd say it wasn't actually used in the end, because he was able to save Sharpedo very well indeed. Keep it till the end and use it perfectly well to clean up, as Charlie said.
Yeah. There was something else. Cycle Cut doesn't make contact. Unfortunate.
Yeah. That would
Comparing
have
this
been unfortunate.
Taylor to be the Mega Man Champ counter. However, Psycho Cut doesn't make contact because the game makes sense.
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
But still, it took that like a champ.
it did.
Shout out to
Pythagoras, really, really useful against something like Mega Meta-chan. Doesn't really have all that much to hit it, and yeah, much like everything else he brought, Enzo used it pretty effectively. So, without too much more to say on that one, we can move on to the second game, I think, which is going to be Xenon and the Slovenian Arcanines taking on Bice and the Twin Leaf Tyrants, both sitting at 6-3 going into this game, and Xenon able to take a nice 4-0 victory, the second one of this week. 4-0 victory over Bice. Bice brought the pain. He brought all of the threats. Aegislash was there, Weavile was there, Tyrantrum once again used very well in a defensive role.
Especially defensive even, which I like a lot.
Especially defensive, yes. He saw no cleric and instantly just went, let us spread all of the toxic around Xenon's team. Because once again, no Amoongus on Xenon's team. 2 physical water types, no Amoongus. And I was looking at that going, I don't know if that's a good idea. But, you know, in the end, Xenon was able to call on just other things. He didn't really need something like Amoongus because he used the combination of Scizor and Keldeo very well. And, you know, Bice was locked into this sort of Scizor U-turning on Emboar into Keldeo cycle. And he didn't have enough for Keldeo. I don't think he really had anything for Keldeo. Yeah. And, you know, Xenon was just able to rinse and repeat that cycle. And there was no way out for Bice. Literally every time Scizor was in came Emboar, which, nice answer to Scizor, it has to be said. But he was able to just U-turn out, because usually he had Scizor brought in on Weavile. Emboar comes into the switch, Scizor U-turns, it would have done a lot to Weavile. Anyway, in comes Keldeo, something dies. And Bice just didn't have a way out, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was very underprepared for Keldeo.
Yeah.
TST was supposed to be his answer, but that didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't work out so
because, you know, Burn and Scarf and stuff.
Yeah,
so
and Keldeo just
he wasn't expecting me to
powerful.
Scarf Keldeo, which is interesting. He didn't think of that, apparently. Which definitely caused him a huge issue.
Yeah.
Because Keldeo is a threat. As much as people say it's not as great in League format as it is in standard play, and I agree, it's still a a huge threat.
Yeah.
I can word so hard.
You do.
It's still a huge threat you have to prepare for because it's powerful.
Like I say, I
speedy.
was worried for Xenon looking at his team and seeing no Arcanine and no Amoongus. I was worried for him, but you know, he didn't need it. He did some work early on, I think was AV Electros. And yeah, as I say,
Electros as well.
Yeah, and as I say, after that he just had Scizor and Keldeo able to pretty much run through Bice, who didn't really have anything for it in the end.
Yeah. Also, you got to mention this game was also not important regarding the playoffs. So
both of them already in.
Yep. So I guess we can move on to the next one. There's not much to say. It's just kind of. Next one was between Gabe and the LA Galaxy Ray, third in the Gold Division, and Kyle, KG2, and the Blastburn Roses, third in the Silver Division. This game unfortunately had a DC because Kyle's 3DS ran out of battery. And he didn't have his charger around for reasons that I'm not sure of. So that was an issue. At the point, the thing was 5-1 for Gabe. And it was counted as a 3-0 for Gabe, and hopefully there will be a game between Kyle and Eric to decide who gets into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Kyle brought special Life Orb Excadrill. That was a thing that happened.
And it got a KO.
It killed Glasgow from what I know.
Yeah.
The game's up because these season stuff. So unfortunate. However, he told everyone that because special Excadrill. Hello. He knew that all he needed was 3 kills in this game. I think he went into the game with the wrong attitude. But just, hey, I don't need to win. I just need 3 kills. That cost him, I think.
Yeah.
However, Special Excadrill was a good idea just because it bait in the Gliscor, obviously, which stopped a couple of threats on his team. Yeah, but Special Excadrill is a thing that happened. So you can write that down in the books.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been
history. Yeah,
it would have been difficult to sort of see where that game was going to go and see the scoreline, because I think, as we said, at the moment of disconnection, you're looking at a sort of 5-1 situation. Rotom Heat was in for Gabe, I think, at like 40% of health, something like that. And
things like that, yeah.
Thunderous was the only one that Cole had left. It's you know, it's difficult to say how much work the Thunderous would have put in. It certainly probably would have been able to get a few KOs, but you know, a lot would have been based on whether moves hit, rolls of damage. It's too difficult to really say. So as we say, I think the default result going to Gabe, and just waiting to see whether Kyle or Eric will be able to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, so Gabe gets the playoff spot guaranteed.
Indeed.
So congrats to Gabe.
Very
as
much
well.
so. Very much so. Speaking of Eric, the fourth game of the week, Eric and the Bristol City Fletchlings taking on Richie and Liverpool FC, and this was the final game that could affect the playoffs in any way. What needed to happen was a big result either way for the winner of this one to end up going through, and we did see a big result. Eric taking the huge 5-0 over Richie. I thought that the team ideas on both sides were very good. It was nice to see Whimsicott selected for the Fletchlings. And what we learnt from this is passing a Swords Dance into a Dragon Dance and Crawdaunt is disgusting.
Absolutely fucking disgusting.
Because that is exactly what happened. You know, fairly early on, Eric was able to get up a Swords Dance with Gligar, passed it into the Crawdaunt, set up a Dragon Dance, and promptly swept most of Richie's team. A lot
Richie misplayed massively.
Yeah, he left Morwell till the end. You know, Morwell was the last Mon he brought in, and it was able, as we saw, to take a hit. He very wisely decided not to go for the Sucker Punch, knowing that he would have been out-prioritised by Aquajet. As a result, you know, he was able to take that hit. Morwell was able to live. So if he'd have sent in Morwell straight off the bat, things could have been very different. But you know, as it is, he didn't make that decision, and unfortunately took the big 5-0 loss. So yeah, that saw Richie out of the running for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he didn't send him over right away. Maybe he was like, that's my win condition, I can't do that, but you have to at that point. It's all you can do against a fucking disgusting Pokemon like Crawdaunt. Especially if it gets a boost from a Gligar pass. However, I think if that would not have happened, Richie had a really nice team matchup. I've seen both teams, and I liked Richie's a lot more.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would have overall had the better matchup. So, you know, but then Crawdaunt did the thing, and it just kind of hurt.
Yeah, one of a couple of big sweeps that happened this week. The other one of which we will get onto. Oh, we will get onto that.
Yeah, but I have one more thing, that Richie would have been in a lot better position if he didn't misclick turn 1. He wanted to click Volt Switch, but accidentally clicked T-Bolt against the Chansey with Jolt down. Yeah. Which already, you know, shifted momentum. And then he missed a Super Fang on, I think, the Crawdaunt.
Yeah.
And at that point, if he would have hit the two things, Super Fangs, I just said it, against the Crawdaunt, it would have been in range for Entei's E-Speed to kill it, and the sweep would never have happened. So
yeah,
he got unlucky. You gotta mention it as well.
He did. But you know, that is just the way it happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's
just one unfortunate misclick and one unfortunate miss, and just the whole ethos of a game can completely change. We could have seen a completely different game, you know, on another day, but unfortunately for Richie, fortunately for Eric, that isn't the way it happened.
Yep. Well, we're going to move on to the next game. The first one that had no effect on anything at all, except for, I guess, honor.
Honor and pride.
We have Josh and the Kentucky Caglions versus Freedomian and the Welchians. Fredo managed to get a 3-0 victory, and oh boy, what a game!
I think my favorite game.
Raikou. Probably, yeah. Josh brought Bandit Raikou. It had quick attack. It didn't show it, but it had quick attack.
Yeah, it did. It got a kill with it.
It gotta go fast. Oh yeah, he did. Oh yeah, true. I forgot. He killed the thing, the Crobat. Which, the Crobat show that it's a god once again.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Crobat's one of my favorite Pokemon in the League format. And it put in the finest of work for Frito, passing a curse from Sylveon into Crobat with the White Herb, which I didn't even know it worked that way.
I thought it didn't work. I thought he'd made a terrible mistake, but he hadn't.
Yeah, Pokemon isn't that stupid. Hooray. Also, Frito wondering why his -1 speed, I think paralyzed in front of got outswept by Mew. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
But he realized it right away, so. Yeah, Crobat did a thing. It got 3 more kills than the entire season ahead of it.
Yeah, that's how you get kills with Crobat, I think. Never thought you'd see yourself learning from Frito, if I'm honest. But,
I mean, I didn't want to get kills. I was a support guy. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Also, a paralyzed in front of him got 2 kills. I just want to mention that because that's impressive.
Not bad by Infinite. Yeah.
This is not a competitive. This is just fucking around between 2 friends. So
very much so.
You know, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean the sets on Josh's side. Just to talk about them as well. Not only did we see banded Quick Attack Raikou, Nasty Plot 3 attacks Kecleon, a sub punching Hawlucha, and because you can never go fast enough, Agility Scolipede. Which was interesting. Another interesting one was the idea to set up a Nasty Plot on an Infernape. I guess banking on paralysis. On the other side, Frito, you know, he had that fantastic idea with Baton passing a curse into the White Herb Crobat. I thought he'd made a terrible mistake. I didn't think it worked like that. I thought he was going to be found wanting, but no, it did work for him and did very well. You know, obviously this game wasn't going to be the most serious of things. If it was, I'd have liked to see Defiant on Empoleon. Is it Defiant it has to raise the attack? Or is it the other thing? Yeah, because he had Bulldoze and Aqua Jet. So I'd like to see that. He didn't. If it was a serious game, I'd like to see him bring Taunt against Josh, which people haven't been doing, and it's an issue. And he had the sort of baton passing one curse on a Mew, and he went into Infernape, not Druddigon, which confused me somewhat. But
yeah, I mean Druddigon was
Druddigon
was the special Druddigon? Was he real enough? No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't real enough quite to bring special Druddigon. But it's a shame. You know, he made the point to say, you know, Druddigon's the only one that hasn't been off the bench. So I got him for this week, and it never appeared.
Yeah.
So
also, Crobat is a god.
Yeah.
I want to mention taking a +3 Zen Headbutt from Hawlucha at +1 defense. With I think only 4 investment HP, and that's it, or something like that. So that's impressive. Crobat is beast.
Yeah,
and then just knocking it out.
That's kind of just what happens when a competent person uses Crobat.
I mean, it did everything I wanted to. Shut up.
It's always fun
people who can make Dusclops work, or Piloswine, you apparently can't, so...
Shut up! They did things I only ever wanted them to
Nothing?
die.
Which was die to the Manatee, yeah?
Yeah, that's all I wanted for them anyway, so it's fine. I'll reveal fully to you later what those things did, but we don't want to get too sidetracked with a different league and a different season. So, moving on, I think, to the final game, this was the bottom of the table duking out between the Somerset Scizors and the Highland Houndoons. Well,
oh god,
what do we what do we even say here? I like the start
on Siz's side of field.
I mean, I like the start that Sizz made. You know, he's been to the school of don't mess with threats. You know, just staying in with Zapdos on the on the Fire Moth thing. What's it called?
But Volcarona.
That's the one, Volcarona.
I'm not sure how much I agree with it, honestly. Because if Jedi had Roost and was a bit of bulkier spread, even he could have beaten it 1v1 and just swept through his team.
I guess.
So I'm not sure how much I agree with that, but it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out for Sizz, and Sizz has some very dangerous offensive mons on his team. We know this, and you know it's not completely out of the question. Yeah, it's not completely out of the question that he'd get a sweep with one of the Pokemon on his team, but I don't think anyone was expecting him to sweep with Registeel, which he did.
For PPL Season 2.
Not even a little bit of a chance of that, but. He swept with Registeel, with Power Up Punch Registeel. He got to
power punch one.
He got to +6 against a Curse Lax, which had Mono Stab, which Jedi left in to try and set up against a Registeel, which I'm not exactly sure about. Yeah, he had Cussed Up Snorlax, which was fairly cool. I was fairly happy to see that. I've got a few things written down. Unfortunate but completely irrelevant flinches. Ring Out.
Yep.
I like that he even thought of running Ring Out.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that he even thought of it. It wasn't gonna do any damage, but I like that he thought of it. Outrage. What have I got written here? Outrage versus Reggie, and then he's +6. He's not switching. ...
No, I think he didn't have Earthquake. I think it was some sort of misgenning or whatever. I'm not sure.
Okay, that makes more sense. I didn't know that.
I think that's what I heard.
That's fair enough then. Okay, I'll give him that one. I take back that particular bit of criticism. I do not take back the criticism of Double Slap.
I mean, yeah.
Credit to Jedi for sticking to his guns and desperately trying to get that Double Slap KO. I can't fault him for trying. I cannot fault him for trying. But you know, at this point, you know, Jedi was 1-8. He wasn't going to get into playoffs. I think we knew that. So you know, he went full Jedi on it, and you know, he did what he does, and I applaud him for that. You know, he stuck to his guns with his fun teams. Yeah. And sometimes that's what it's all about. You know, if you're not going to get into playoffs, then you may as well have some fun with it. Certainly, Jedi's been doing that, so, you know, credit to him.
Yeah. I like how Sis said that he's bringing sets that didn't get to show throughout the regular season, and then he only got to show 2 months in general.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unfortunate.
I'm pretty sure he did bring Power Up Punch Registeel week 1 against Rio,
I don't think it did much.
It was the only thing that did anything on his team that week.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay.
Much the same as it was the only thing that did any work on his team this week, but for very different reasons. So you know, Sis able to take a victory, which is nice for him on a personal level. So I actually don't think he finishes 11th on the table, which is nice for him.
Maybe, yeah. I think he's above.
Yeah, he
Josh,
ended with 4 and 6, which puts him at least 10th. So you know, go Jedi, go Jedi, go Sis. More power to you. Fair enough there. What that does mean is that we have pretty much a sorted playoff table. There's only one thing really left to sort of thrash out, and that is whether that final spot will be taken by the Bristol City Fletchings or the Blastburn Rovers.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's been fully decided just yet. It's a bit of a contentious one. Lots of different things to take into account.
Yeah, time and stuff is a thing.
Yeah. But we will go over what we've got. We do have one completed bracket, and funnily enough, it's going to be Xenon and the Slovenian Arcanines versus Bison the Twin Leaf Tyrants. Again.
Yep.
That's going to be... I mean, just the fact that they played each other last, and then have to play each other instantly in the playoffs, that's going to be a fascinating match. Bice is going to be really looking for revenge this time, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he cared too much about this game, the last one. Partially because he knew he would have a chance of playing Xenon again, and he knew he would be in the playoffs, so he didn't, go all out.
Yeah,
revealing strats and all that stuff.
And I mean,
yeah, this is a very interesting.
Even the fact that he took the loss to Xenon this week, that's going to have been a very, very important game for him, because he's going to really have found out the strengths and weaknesses he has against Xenon's team, and he's going to be able to prepare a lot better for it this time. Yeah, very much. He's going to be able to have, hopefully for him, an answer to those issues that he had in the previous game, and that's going to have to make Xenon think twice again. He's going to have to be looking at different things to bring, maybe. It's going to be really fascinating. The winner of that game, by the way, will be taking on the Golden State Dragons and Anima in the second round of the playoffs. So, really, really tough stuff for those teams in that first bracket.
Yep.
So, the second bracket... Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
I can move on if you want to.
Yeah, go for it.
The second one is going to be between Gabe and the other Galaxy, who got his spot guaranteed, and either the Bristol City Fledglings or the Blackburn Rovers. As we said, there's no decision yet. But either way, it's going to be interesting because, Gabe and Kyle just played. And Kyle said multiple times, at least to me and some other people, that he didn't show everything against Gabe in his game because he knew he would play him again. He didn't reveal all the things that he might seem as good against him. So if he makes that, it's going to be fun. But also Eric, who kind of gave up, not gave up, but he had, how do we say this? He wasn't very confident in his season early on. And now he has a good chance of getting into the playoffs. Yeah, so that's really cool. If it's Eric versus Gabe, it's gonna be fat against fat, and it's gonna be beautiful. Yeah, that's. I mean, the winner of that game is gonna face off against Enzo and Whiskas in round 2 of the playoffs. That's also gonna be interesting, no matter who it's gonna be, because they're all playoff contenders. They're all good players. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, that is going to make for some really, really excellent battles. So we've got, round 1 of playoffs, then round 2 of playoffs, and then we have the final week. It's coming to a close. It's really exciting stuff. These games are going to be top quality. You are not going to want to miss them, let me tell you. So definitely keep your eyes peeled sort of around the channel, around the competitors' channels, to make sure you don't miss those games, because they're going to be absolute crackers, I can tell you that. Yep. So, at this point, we usually like to have sort of a little look at the shit talking that's going on between coaches. Obviously, not so many coaches involved now as we get into the playoffs, but that hasn't stopped Fredo. It hasn't stopped him. Never will. It never. Yeah, he'll be shit talking until the end of time, I think. You don't need to be good to shit talk, apparently. Well, this is actually the topic of discussion in this little episode of it. Eric was talking to Fredo, saying that Eric, of course, still very much in contention for a place in the playoffs, and he was saying that if that didn't happen, he was saying of Fredo, without a target for shit talking, Fredo would probably lose his mind. To which Fredo's answer was, "I'd just use the mirror. At least I'd have good shit talking competition for once." Now, as a fellow talker of the smack, Schady, what do we think of Fredo as a shit talker? Do we think that he is some of the best competition for it? No. I'm still waiting for a comeback against me, so I didn't find anything yet. Of course. Well, there is the call out. Fredo, if you're looking for competition, Schady has basically just gone full Hunger Games and volunteered as tribute. So, get your game face on, Fredo, because you have an opponent here. I can give you epic foreshadowing for next TBU season for him. He's going to get as many wins as my Crowbait got killed last season in the PPL. Ouch! My Crowbait got no kills. Yeah, we know that. Guy. Not everyone does, okay? I mean, I think they could probably have worked it out. If they didn't. Probably. Schady able to use his Crowbait to great effect awesome. in the PPL Season 1 and not get any KOs with it. It did everything I wanted to. I'm not stupid enough to bring a Bandit one, because Bandit is bad. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'm pretty sure Fredo bought it once, that's why I said it. Probably. I can only imagine. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the smack talk we had. As we say, the season's sort of winding down. Fredo desperately still having his smack talking input as we expect. But that is pretty much going to sort of tie things up here. I say a little bit shorter than usual as far as your Thursday videos are concerned. But as we said at the beginning, this is kind of just an extended Union news, a combination of the two. So it's going to be around this sort of midway point time-wise between the two videos that you see on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But as we say, that is pretty much going to be it from us. We will be back, of course, next Thursday with another one of these sort of extended Union News videos following the playoffs. Those will be sort of happening and going up around this weekend, so do make sure you keep your eyes peeled for them, because as we've said, they're going to be fantastic games of the highest quality, and people are really going to be bringing their A game to those matches. So yeah, Schady, any final things to add before we sign off? Nah. I already shit talked Fido, so
this is true. You did. You did. So we are going to pretty much call it there. Thank you all very much for watching. We do hope that you have enjoyed, and yeah, keep looking forward to those battles that are happening in the playoffs. We'll be back next week, but until then, yeah, we will see you later. Take care, TBU fans. Goodbye.
Goodbye.